Vijay Mallya, born December 18, 1955, is an Indian businessman and a former politician. He is the subject of an extradition effort by the Indian government to bring him back from the UK to face charges of financial crimes in India. His last formal appeal against extradition was rejected in 2020, but as of April 2025, the order had not been enforced. The judge in a case rejecting his appeal against bankruptcy said, "Apparently Dr. Mallya is still resisting extradition on other bases which have yet to be resolved." When we talk about India's biggest bank fraud, one name inevitably dominates the headlines: Vijay Mallya, once celebrated as the king of good times. His story is not just about a flamboyant businessman who lived life king-size, but also about how unchecked ambition, systemic loopholes, and political influence led to one of the most infamous financial scandals in Indian history. Vijay Mallya inherited the liquor empire of United Breweries from his father in the 1980s. Under his leadership, the company expanded rapidly, and brands like Kingfisher beer became household names. Mallya cultivated a larger-than-life image. Yachts, Formula One teams, IPL cricket franchises, and lavish parties. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a celebrity. His charisma made him a darling of the media, and his ventures symbolized luxury and aspiration. But behind the glamour lay a risky gamble. In 2005, Mallya launched Kingfisher Airlines, promising unmatched luxury in Indian skies. Plush seats, gourmet meals, and glamorous air hostesses made it stand out. Yet, aviation is a tough business, and Kingfisher was built more on borrowed money than sustainable revenue. The son of a businessman who was also in the alcoholic beverages business, Mallya is the former chairman of United Spirits, the largest spirits company in India, and continues to serve as chairman of United Breweries Group, an Indian conglomerate with interests including beverage alcohol, aviation infrastructure, real estate, and fertilizer. He was the chairman of Sanofi India, previously known as Hoechst AG and Aventis, and of Bayer Crop Science in India for over 20 years, as well as of several other companies. Mallya was also the founder and former owner of the defunct Kingfisher Airlines and former co-owner of the Force India Formula One team before it went into administration. He is also a former owner of the Royal Challengers Bangalore cricket team. Kingfisher Airlines struggled almost from the start. Rising fuel costs, poor management, and aggressive expansion without profitability created a financial black hole. To keep the airline afloat, Mallya turned to India's public sector banks. Between 2004 and 2012, he secured loans worth over 9,000 Indian rupees crore, around $1.2 billion. Many of these loans were allegedly obtained through misrepresentation of Kingfisher's financial health, personal guarantees, and the sheer influence Mallya wielded. Banks continued lending despite clear signs of distress. Why? Because Mallya was politically connected, socially influential, and seen as too big to fail. This is where the cracks in India's banking system became evident: weak due diligence, pressure from powerful borrowers, and lack of accountability. India has witnessed many financial scandals, but none captured public imagination quite like the Vijay Mallya bank fraud case. It is a story of ambition, glamour, unchecked borrowing, and eventual downfall. Vijay Mallya, once hailed as the king of good times, became the face of corporate excess and financial mismanagement. His journey from celebrated tycoon to fugitive billionaire is not just about one man. It is about the vulnerabilities of India's banking system, the influence of power, and the lessons learned from one of the country's biggest financial frauds. Vijay Mallya was born on December 18, 1955, in Buntaval, Karnataka. His father, Vijay Mallya, was already a prominent businessman, heading the United Breweries Group. Vijay inherited not just the empire but also the charisma to expand it. Educated at La Martiniere, Calcutta, and St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, Mallya graduated with a commerce degree in 1976. At just 28, after his father's death, Mallya became chairman of United Breweries. Under his leadership, the company transformed into a global conglomerate. Brands like Kingfisher beer became synonymous with youth, fun, and luxury. Mallya cultivated a flamboyant image: yachts, racehorses, Formula One teams, and IPL cricket franchises. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a celebrity. In 2005, Mallya launched Kingfisher Airlines, promising unmatched luxury in Indian skies. The airline offered gourmet meals, stylish uniforms, and premium services. It quickly became popular among urban elites. But aviation is a notoriously difficult industry. Kingfisher expanded aggressively, buying aircraft and routes without focusing on profitability. Behind the glamour, the airline was bleeding money. Rising fuel costs, poor management, and overexpansion created a financial black hole. To sustain operations, Mallya turned to India's public sector banks for loans. Between 2004 and 2012, Kingfisher Airlines borrowed over 9,000 Indian rupees crore from a consortium of banks. Many loans were allegedly obtained through misrepresentation of financial health and personal guarantees. Banks, dazzled by Mallya's stature and political connections, continued lending despite clear warning signs. This exposed systemic flaws: weak due diligence, political pressure, and the tendency to favor influential borrowers. Kingfisher's collapse left banks saddled with massive non-performing assets, shaking public trust in the financial system. By 2012, Kingfisher Airlines was grounded. Employees went unpaid, airports refused services, and passengers were stranded. The airline never recovered. Mallya's empire crumbled, but the loans remained unpaid. The fraud wasn't just about one failed airline. It symbolized how public money was misused and how regulatory safeguards were bypassed. For ordinary Indians, it was shocking to see a billionaire living lavishly while banks struggled to recover taxpayer money. In 2016, as investigations intensified, Vijay Mallya quietly left India for the UK. He was accused of willful default, money laundering, and diversion of funds. The Indian government sought his extradition, but the process proved lengthy. Mallya argued he was being unfairly targeted, but courts in India and abroad saw mounting evidence of fraud. His escape sparked outrage. How could someone accused of defrauding banks walk away so easily? The case became symbolic of white-collar crime in India, wealthy individuals exploiting loopholes while ordinary citizens faced strict accountability. India formally requested Mallya's extradition in 2017. UK courts examined evidence of fraud, diversion of funds, and unpaid loans. After years of hearings, in 2020, a UK court ruled in favor of extradition. Yet, delays due to appeals and asylum requests kept Mallya in Britain. This highlighted another challenge: cross-border judicial cooperation. Even when evidence is strong, extradition can take years, frustrating victims and regulators. Today, Vijay Mallya remains in the UK, fighting extradition. His businesses are gone, his reputation tarnished, but his story continues to haunt India's financial system. The king of good times became the fugitive of bad debts. His downfall is a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition, systemic failure, and the heavy price of corruption. For India, it was a wake-up call to strengthen financial governance and ensure accountability. UBS went to court in 2018, seeking to evict Mallya, his son Siddhartha, and his mother Lalith from Cornwall Terrace. A trial was set for May 2019. The trial did not go ahead since Mallya drew up a settlement with UBS. According to the terms of the agreement, Mallya can remain in the property, and if the mortgage is not repaid by April 2020, UBS has a right to immediate possession. Mallya must also pay the interest of £820,333 accrued up to April 2019 plus any further amount accrued up to May 1, 2020. He was also instructed to pay legal costs of £1,047,081 and receivers' costs of £223,863.76 in December 2018. The court ruled that he can be extradited to India to face fraud investigations. 8. In July 2019, Mallya was granted permission to appeal to London's High Court against his extradition. In April 2020, the plea filed by Vijay Mallya against his extradition to India was rejected by London High Court. In June 2025, Vijay Mallya made a rare public appearance in Raj Shamani's podcast for a 4-hour-long interview. The interview marked one of Mallya's first in-depth public commentaries since leaving India in 2016. The appearance triggered renewed media coverage and public debate in India, with users calling it as an attempt to whitewash his image with criticism over the platforming of a controversial figure amidst his fugitive status. Mallya claimed he repaid 14,000 Indian rupees crore against loans totaling 6,200 Indian rupees crore. This isn't just the story of one man. It's the story of how India's banking system was manipulated, how public trust was betrayed, and how reforms were born out of scandal. The Vijay Mallya case remains India's biggest bank fraud, a reminder that glamour can hide rot, and unchecked power can devastate nations.